Alrighty, so now that we've got you set up with the course repos, now it's time to actually start talking about some more detail in this course. So what we're going to cover is the following. I'm going to discuss GitHub just a little more because it is important to understand the difference between something you're going to learn a little bit later and something we're going to use today. We're going to discuss the web development certificate and degrees, talk a little more about this course and specifically, and then show you how to submit this item. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. So what you're going to do is you're watching the video that I'm talking about now. You're going to take notes and you're going to take it in your private repo and you're going to create a file. So let me walk you through this part as a way to get back to GitHub. So here we are. I'm back at GitHub. I'm back at the organization. One of the things I want to show you is that if for some reason from the last video till this one you've signed out, you want to make sure, and this is like when you first log into GitHub, you come here and you go to the repo that is for our course, because you can create repos within your own GitHub user account, and those are fine. And actually we end up doing one for this course, but for most of the work that we're going to do related to this lecture, all of it is going to be inside the course organization. So always make sure that you're in the course organization. And in this case, you remember in the video before this, I walked you through setting up 2 repos. And in this case, because this is a lecture and you're going to see this pattern all the time, is that all the lecture notes that you're going to take, which you're about to start, are going to be in the private repo. So go ahead and click into your private repo and you come to an interface that looks like this. Now, GitHub will change over the time from the time I've recorded this, so it might look a little different, but for the most part, this should be what it looks like. So up here, it talks about, before we even get into creating anything down here, learn Git and GitHub without any code. And that's what we're doing. In this case, we're actually, because GitHub is the website, this website, where you're placing your files today and for the next week or so. And then later, you're going to learn how to use Git. And Git is going to be on your own personal computer. You're going to code locally, and then you're going to push to GitHub. But for the next couple of weeks, just to get you started, you're going to be using GitHub. Now, I think it's worth looking at this guide, so let's just open it. Okay, it talks about Git, no coding, and we already created repos, so this is great. You've already had some of this experience. Branches is something we'll cover later. So, it's a good guide, especially if this is your degree path, because some of you may not be. I'll talk about degrees in a little bit. But if this is something you're going to be doing for your profession, the more you understand about Git and GitHub, it's going to be helpful. All right, so let's go down here. Now that we at least know what we're, kind of hopefully beginning to understand the difference. Again, right now, we're only focusing on using this interface, which is on the web, which is the hub, the website. But we're still using Git, and that's what you're about to see. So the way we're going to create a file and a folder on this system is still using something called commits that you're going to see when you do work, okay, using Git. All right, so let's do over here. So we go to a file, we could add a file, or we could code. Now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new file, okay? Now, when you come here, I'm going to have you create a subdirectory because it would make sense that all of our lectures would go in a lecture folder. So what you do is type lecture and then hit the / Now what that does is automatically it says, oh, when you do that, GitHub knows you're creating a folder. Now you hopefully know, and if you don't, on the local system, there's a little different process of creating a new folder, but in this case on GitHub, it's not like that. And we're gonna call it week1.md. Now MD means markup file. Sorry, mark down. There's a mark up you learn, and then in this case is a mark down that you learn. Okay. So when you come here now, so now we've created the file name, we've told it what directory, we're in the private repo. So now we could just do hello world. That'd be cool, right? And what you could do here is you could preview that. And this is the preview of that, just that simple content that we did. And down here is actually a commit. So what you're doing is you're changing content and then you're committing that into this repo. Now I'm not done, so I'm going to go back and hit edit here. And I'm going to show you something that you're going to learn on the next assignment. I'm going to hit preview again. Oh, sorry, I got to put space there. Oh, there we go. So notice how that makes that text what you typically think of as a heading, right? So what did I do? I put pound and I put hello world, but I'm going to have you change this to about CIT82. Introduction to web. Now you could spell out web development, but it's very common just to do it like this. And if we wanted to do the next item, we'd do it to space, right? About Git versus GitHub. Okay. So that's what we talked about for a little. And now if you want to go back over here, you can see that this is a major heading and this is a minor heading. You learn about these major minor headings through school because it talks about it, and you're going to learn it again when we talk about HTML because there's also different ways to do it there. Okay, so now we're not done with this, but the nice thing is you can commit your changes. And in this case, it gives us some sample text. We're committing a new file, and you could leave this text and you could say working on week 1 lecture. And we're going to commit into the branch, the master branch, again, something you learn later, and we'll commit the new file. Cool, right? So we've actually added your first folder and your first file into GitHub. All right, so we can still keep working on it. That's the nice thing. If you click on here, then it brings you into the file and you can hit edit this file. Okay, notice there's a lot of different options. You can view, you can delete, but what we're going to do is just hit this edit. Okay, so from here on out, I'm not going to come back here. I probably will just at the end. But what you're going to be doing is taking notes. Okay, so it doesn't have to. Now, always students ask me, how many notes do I have to have? Not a lot. Okay, I really am looking at these notes as a way to verify that you're actually following along with the videos and getting the major concepts. Okay, so again, this is going to be your job to do as I cover the next topic, which in this case is going to talk about the degrees. So I'm going to go to Fresno City College website. I'm going to go to academic divisions. I'm going to go to the business education because this class, CIT82, is part of the business division. And then in here, we are part of the CIT, the Computer Information Decision Science. And I'm going to click on computers. And then what you can see is there's a degree for web developer and there is a certificate for web developer. Okay, so it really depends on what your goals are. And if you want to talk about this, by the way, I'd be happy to chat about this in more detail. But I actually want to show you the next step because looking at this, when you click here, it would make sense it would show you the degree, but it doesn't, or the certificate. So let me show you how to find it. So click into here and it goes to a listing of the different subject matters that start with C. And then in here, if you click down, you will see, C, that redundant here, but if the last one listed is the Web Developer Associate degree. So I'm going to click on that. And then here's where you get a listing of all the courses in this major. Okay, so this is a major. So you have 82, which you're taking now, hopefully 85 that you're taking after this, 90, which is Go, and then 93, which is JavaScript. And then you get to choose 2 of the ones from this list. Okay, so that makes up the degree for this web developer major. And if you have any questions about any of these courses, please reach out and let me know. I teach quite a few of them. I teach 84, I teach 94, I teach 99. And Todd McLeod teaches the other ones. Some other people, folks like Brian Baker, may teach Java programming. These are all great to have. Client server, I believe Todd teaches that. But in this case, I teach this course, Todd teaches this one, Todd teaches Go, and then I teach 93. Okay, so that's the associate degree. And then if you're looking for, and let's just come back here, if you're looking for the certificate, in this case, I'm going to click here. And again, this little interesting organization, you have to go down and find computer information systems. And then in here, you can look through and find web page development. And this is and this may look like it's longer, but the truth is, if you come down here, you can find just the classes. So there's 3 classes you could take. Introduction, the one you're taking now, HTML and CSS and JavaScript, to make up that 10 units for the web page development. Okay. All right. So if you haven't, again, have any questions about this, and it is a good time, as we know, the web is doing nothing but increasing. And so learning more about the web is really helpful, even if it's not your career path, but it's something, and let's come back over here because you're taking notes, even if it's something that you want to add to whatever career path you're on, right? And maybe here what you want to do, besides just a few notes about what we covered, is like, what's your goal? Right? What do you hope to get out? Or why are you here? Is it part of your career path, or is it just something you want to add to your career path? Because as I said, it's a really important time. Okay, so we talked about that. So now this particular course, this is a 9-week, and I know I've said this before, so I'll say it again. It is a 9-week course. And what that means is it's a full 3-unit 9-week course, so it goes pretty fast. Okay. And so staying up with this class is, I would say, really important. Due dates are always listed up here, but you can also find them by looking in the calendar. I find that really helpful. I think I would hope you use the calendar to help organize yourself, because all the due dates are listed for this particular class on there. And I think that's helpful. But what I'm going to do, now notice, we haven't submitted this item yet. I'll come back to this in a minute. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to syllabus. I'm going to right click. I'm going to open it in a new tab. Okay. So for this class, as I've said before, now I need to update this for the fall, but in general, I will have an updated list of office hours, but of course, during this semester, because of us all being online, all these will be in the online mode. You can see that more. This talks about the description of what overview of this course, the objectives that you have. Now, here's hopefully the piece that kind of stood out to you, is that there's no textbook required for this class. And that's the one thing you will see me do a lot, is I will find content for you to consume. Some of it will be from me going over the week itself. Some of it will be from stuff I find on YouTube, because there is some great stuff. But I will also have updated the holidays and such. At this point, I apologize I hadn't, but this part will still be the same. So lectures, and that's what you're doing now, 15% of this class. You have one project at the end of the course. You're actually going to be building a site, And that site could be about yourself. That site could be about something that you're actually interested in, or it could be like a portfolio site or even an organization of the content that you've gotten here. I'm going to give you several options here, and we'll be talking about this starting at about week 3, and we'll talk about it for the last about 3 or 4 weeks. We cover it because I help you with each week assignment moving towards this. And of course, you can see what a big percentage it is. There's only one item. You can see on the lectures, there's 15 of them. You can see what each of those means individually. The hands-on you're going to do next, that's going to be your next item in the current topics, which really hopefully covers more of what's happening in the actual web development profession and helps you become acquainted with these things. I do accept late work. You can submit late. Do know it's discounted 25% after the due date, but you can still submit it. I'm not at the Hive this semester, but just because, again, for this particular semester, all things have been provided online. You can see over here that breakdown again, showing you that. But again, if you have any questions, I would suggest here is that because you're taking notes, right? I'm going to update, and I want you to put in here some of the changes that you've seen based on this syllabus from the time I've shown it here until you're actually looking at it and taking notes. Okay, so I hope this course is fun. I really attempt to make this an enjoyable experience to where my goal is that you really spend most of your time doing the work and not thinking about how to do the work. That's my goal right there. Okay, so I've told you about the course. I've told you about due dates. I went over what we're going to do. I've talked about how to find due dates. So I think I'm pretty good there. So believe it or not, for now, that's all we're going to cover. So you should have at this point, and I don't have it, but you will, some more notes here. Okay, and go ahead and you can update those, and you can say added to those. Matter of fact, I could say adding notes to week 1. Go ahead and update and then commit. Oh, I actually have, this time I actually do have to put, see, last time it didn't make me. Let's see. Oh, let's do this. Just because I want you to see 3 and I think it's not allowing me. Let's see. Yeah, because I hadn't made a change. It wouldn't allow me to do it. All right. So now what I'm going to do, now that you have this, I'm going to show you how to submit this. Okay. So this is how you're going to submit all the lectures for this class. So once you get this, you'll do it several times. Okay. So notice what I have, and I'm actually going to go back to 82. I'm going to go back to the private, just so you can see this progression again. I'm going to go back to lectures, and notice how on lectures there's only one listed. I'm going to click on that week 1, and notice how now you should be seeing the notes that you've taken here. So what you do is you come up here to the address bar, and you just click into there, and you can hit copy or Control C, and then you can do a paste, whichever way it makes sense for you. Notice how there was, and you can see the history, and that's one of the things that I can see is the history that you've done it. So now let's come over here. Actually, I'm going to close this. I'm going to come over here because now you're actually ready to submit the assignment. Okay. So again, tells you the points. Again, remember the points are just a number to help you know how well you did. It's the percentage that's important. You're submitting a URL. That's good to know. Most assignments in this class are submitting URLs, and the URL you are submitting, I just showed you. So I'm going to show you again in a second because I copied it. Hopefully you did too. I'm going to submit the assignment. It's a web URL right there. And now let's look at it. I'm going to use, I did the keyboard shortcut for paste. You could also, by the way, do this. You could right click and paste, right? Whichever way you're familiar with. And then you don't have to make comments, but you can if you want. If you have anything you want to ask me, this is a good place. Remember, there are other ways to ask questions in this class, but if you have any specific to this assignment, that's a fine way to ask me as well. And then you submit the assignment. Oh, I love that. I love that. It's always great when, oh, you know what? It may be because I was actually on my student account. Let's see. Hopefully you don't see that when you do that, but what happened? Oh, good. It did, no, it didn't submit. Let's do it again. What happens here is I can view the system as a student. And for some reason, maybe because I was in there too long, who knows? We'll hit submit again, paste that in, submit the thing, and hopefully this time, yeah, it worked. Okay, sorry about that. And so now that you've submitted it, you can look at details, or once, and what will happen is this shows that it has been submitted, and you can see this. You've actually submitted this for, matter of fact, where can you see that? There's no score because if you click into it, you can actually see then if you had any comments and you and I were having an ongoing discussion back and forth, you would see that. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what I will do is I will, on the other screen, unbeknownst to you, I'm going to go in and actually I'm going to grade that. It takes me just a second here to go look at that. Okay. So I'm going to say, good job. Or anything more specific. Now, by the way, because I've done that, I'm actually going to refresh the screen. I want to show you this, right? So what happens here is you now see the grade. You now see a comment from me. If you wanted, you could make a comment back. But I want you to see, because I've noticed that students often miss this, that there are comments. Oh, wrong one. That there are, I have to go into the student view. There are comments that get made, and I want you to know where those comments are at. And notice how there's also an indicator here showing you that that's true. And then what you will also see, oh, there we go. So you can see the grade. And by the way, the other cool thing, you'll hear me talk about this later, is that you can, if you didn't do well on this, again, imagine had you submitted it after the due date, the most you could have gotten would have been a 75. Okay, and then my comments are listed there, so you can see them here, or you can click into the item to see them. Okay, I hope that helps you understand the process of submitting work and looking at my feedback, and then asking questions here, or again, if you want to do it directly, it's up to you. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.